Hello everyone, my name is Terrence. Welcome to this HTML basics tutorial. Before we begin, I would like to address that you do require to know a few things about using the computer. So if you are not tech savvy, this video is not recommended for you. I would require you to know how to use a text editor, a web browser, and know how to make files and folders. So if you know all those things, then let's get started on this tutorial. So what does HTML stand for? So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. Let's just say HTML is a technology, as we will call it, that is used to help create web pages. It's best for you to not go into detail of what HTML means. As you are just beginning, it's best to just give you an idea, as there is a lot of information when it comes to learning HTML. So again, HTML is a technology to help you create web pages. For all the viewers who are already introduced to HTML or who have a good experience to HTML, this tutorial will not cover any CSS or JavaScript of any kind. So that also includes script tags and link tags. This tutorial is very well meant and designed for beginners who very well just started learning HTML, starting with this video. So we will not be making a web page where it'll have all these fancy designs where it has cursive text or that it'll have fancy animations. None of this. It'll be very basic. The web pages that we will make will be using very, very basic HTML. Now, what I hope for the beginners to get out of this tutorial is to have a very good starting point of learning HTML without feeling all this confusion or feeling that you haven't learned enough. What I want to accomplish here with the beginners is to make you feel that you can learn more, is to help you avoid with all this information overload by giving you the absolute necessities, yet giving you the knowledge that would be more readily useful to you. So now let's finally get the chance to start using our computer. So let's go ahead and finally use our computer. So if you'll go ahead and open your text editor. Alright. So what I will do here, and follow along as it will be much more easier, I will save this file and I will call it my HTML. So let me just make this a little more clear. So after the name, you'll input the file type, which is .html. All right, and that's all you need. So the name of the file and the file type of the file. And then we'll go ahead and save that. Excuse me, I want to save that to the desktop. All right, and let me just get rid of that. All right.
So first thing I want to teach you is HTML tags. So HTML tags, they look something like this. Alright. They also look something like this. Let me just give you a few more examples. There we go.
Alright. So these are all HTML tags. So there, as you can see, there seems to be different types of tags, but let's go through it one by one. So what defines as a HTML tag? So an HTML tag, it always consists of three things. The name of the HTML tag, which is this, and two angle brackets, one left and one right. That's what makes a HTML tag. And so you'll notice that there's a tag that looks slightly different. So this one has a /. So here, this tag here is referred as a closing tag because of this / here. And that's always before the name of the tag. And this tag here, the one without a / is referred as to a opening tag. Now there's another tag that's quite different. So you'll notice that this tag here and this tag here, they don't have an opening tag, or they don't seem to even have a closing tag, because this / is in front of the name. So what this is a self-closing tag is what it's called. So that means it does not require an opening and closing tag. In fact, it requires just the one tag with either a / in front of the name of the tag or without it. So it can just look like this or look like this. These are HTML tags. Now another thing I would like to introduce to you is HTML tag attributes, or you can just call them attributes. So this is what an attribute looks like. So what you have here is a attribute name followed by an equal sign, and then follow what would be called here a value. Now a value would always consist of 2 double quotes, and it would usually have something written in between those double quotes. So its basic form would look like this. So these attributes are always going to be located in the HTML tag. So let me show you how that would look like. So let's say this self-closing tag, for example, if we just pasted what we cut it out, this is where an attribute is placed. It is never placed right beside the HTML tag name. It's always spaced away from it, at least once. Now this can also be placed in a starting tag and never in the end tag, always at a starting tag. Alright, so that is attributes and HTML tags. Alright, so we'll just get rid of all this. Now I will teach you what you would write for every HTML document. So let's start with this one here. Just bear with me for a moment. So this tag here, we call it a Doctype tag. And so what this does is it communicates to the web browser what type of document we are using. And we are using HTML. Simple as that. So now let's move on to the next tag, I should say. This is the HTML tag. So what this tag does is it indicates the start of the document and the end of the document. Alright, so let's move on to the next tag, and that's called the head tag. Oh, sorry. Alright. So the purpose of this head tag here, which is right here, to grossly put it, it gives the web browser extra information. So let's start off with, say, the title tag. So this extra bit of information, it represents the title as you may have noticed. So let me just type in a title. So I'll save that, and we will open that up in the browser. So you'll notice that this bit of text has gone to this browser's tab right here. And I'll introduce to you another tag called meta tag, and it's a self-closing tag. This also provides extra information for the web browser for various purposes. So you could also say this is data more or less not concerning to the contents of the web page. So then now let's move on to the contents of the web page. And the contents of the web page is represented with the tag called body. So everything you want to put into the web page will go in between these two body tags. So let's start off with this h1 tag. I'll just put in some text. Alright, and we'll save it. So now we'll see what happens to this web browser once we refresh. And you'll notice that the web browser rendered this very text that we put into our document. Now, what is it that I mean by render? Render, what I mean is that the instructions we have given to this web browser, which is within this document, would visually output what we instructed to do, which is outputting a heading with the text heading 1. Now there are other heading tags as well, and we will change this to heading 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, same on the ending tags, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Alright, and then to make it clear on the web browser, we'll change these numbers too. And now we'll save it, and we will refresh the web browser. And you'll notice that each tag will have a different size text. This is to help indicate that these are different levels of headings. Paragraphs. So this is a paragraph tag. Now let me just type in some text here. So bear with me for a moment. Alright, so that's the paragraph. Let's see what happens when we render it. So this is how it looks like on the web page. Pretty self-explanatory there. Now if I can grab your attention to this text here, you'll notice that every word will have a space in between, and rightfully so, because that's how I formatted it in my document. So now I want to show you what happens when I put multiple spaces. You would think that between this A and this word paragraph would have a lot of spaces in between. Now let's save it and refresh, and it'll show you nothing has happened. Everything seems to be the same. So for us to add more spaces in between, it would require a particular code. And if you want to learn how to do that, just give me a comment down below, and I'll definitely explain to you how that's done. But for now, I would like to avoid explaining that, as this is a different area of HTML. Alright, so let's just zoom out here, as we need more space to see everything. Okay, let's make a anchor tag. So an anchor tag looks just like this. And what does an anchor tag do? It helps us create links. So let's put some text in between the opening and closing. Okay, save that, and we refresh the page. And look at that. The text is there, but you'll notice if we click it, it just acts like regular text. It doesn't open us to a link or anything. And That's because we didn't indicate to it what website did we want to link those words to. To make that text into a link, we would need to use an attribute. So like we learned earlier, we put the attribute name. In this case, we type in href equals to two double quotes. And then we want to input the web address that we desire. Let's say youtube.com. We save that, and then we'll render the link, and there it is. You'll notice that familiar blue color underline link, and let's give it a try. See what happens. So now we get this error message. We should have gone to youtube.com. So what's going on here? So if we open up a new tab, say type in youtube.com, everything seems to be working well. So what is it that's going on? So what you'll notice is that this address here, there's more to it than just youtube.com. www. There's HTTPS. So what it is that it requires a full address in order for this link to properly work. So I've copied and pasted the web address, the full web address, and put it as the href value. So okay, with the full web address, should be working. So let's give it a try. Let's go back, refresh. All right, let's try the link again. Not quite, eh? Looks like I didn't quite save. Okay, let's try it again. Let's go back, refresh. Click on the link. And would you look at that? Everything seems to work well. All right, let's go back. All right, so we're back where we are. All right, so now I want to introduce to you how the placement of these tags work. Let me try to explain here. So let's say if we put together these headings in the same line within the document. Let's see what happens when we render it on the web browser. You'll notice there's no changes. Now, for these tags, they will always occupy their own line. So it will not matter whether if they're beside each other or if they are over and under each other, they will very much well render the same way, as you can see. And that includes this paragraph tag. So save it, and it renders the same. All right. Now, in terms of putting the tags within tags, that's a slightly different story. So let's say we put this link tag, say in this here, and let's say we'll put it here. How's that? Let's take a look at what happens. So now you'll notice that the link tag, the anchor tag, when placed within other tags, it will align itself with the rest of the text content. All right, so let's go back here, put everything back in its place. All right, there we go. So now we're back here. Let's go on to the next tag. So I'd like to introduce to you 3 tags at the same time. So these tags all involve making a list. So the first tag to be introduced here is called a unordered list tag. You can also call it a UL tag. And we have what's called a OL tag, which is also called order list tag. And we also have an LI tag, short for listing. So UL is to initiate a list. OL is also to initiate a list. UL is does not indicate an order, whereas OL indicates an order. All right, and LI is all the list items that you wish to input into this document. So just like this.
Alright, just like that. Bear with me there. Okay, so let's make a list, say, about animals. We got dogs, we got cats, we got lizards, donkeys. And we'll make a simple list here of numbers, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, we'll save that, and we'll see how that renders on the web page. And look at that. So this here, the UL tag, rendered ordered list found here. And this OL tag with the LI tags has rendered a ordered list right here. So remember, this is formatted just like this, with UL and OL tags initiates the listing, followed by all the LI tags, which lists each and one item of the list. All right, so let's move on to the next tag now. So here's a super simple one. This is called a BR tag or a break tag. Or I believe it's also called a line break. So I put a BR tag in between heading 3 and 4. And let's see what happens. So now you'll notice there's a space in between heading 3 and heading 4. Pretty simple stuff. That's pretty much all it does. You can even make multiple amount. Save that, refresh. And there you go, it's even more spacing. Alright. Okay, now we have one more tag, and I think you'll like this one, at least as a beginner. Alright, we call this the image tag, and this is also self-closing. Alright, excuse me, I forgot to tell you, break is self-closing too. Alright, okay, so with image tags, they require an attribute just like the the anchor tag does. So this attribute is called source, or SRC for short. And it also takes in a value of a web address, but it can also take a value of a file path. In this tutorial, I will not teach you about file paths, so we'll stick with a web address. So now all we need is a web address to a image in order for us to render an image into our web page. So let's go look for one. So one I just recently found, which I recommend going. I think it's Iconica. Hopefully I pronounced that right. So this website it's perfect for just grabbing images. So I do recommend going to this website for images. So let's go ahead and grab the link. Or before we do that, let's make a few images. How's that?
Copy. This. Copy. Paste. So we'll grab this fish. Copy the web address. There we go. Copy the web address to this. Just bear with me there.
Alright. And looks like we're good with all those images. Let's see how it looks like on our webpage. And look at that. We have all our images. So now we know how to put images on our webpage. How's that? So let's see what happens if we say put image in an odd place. Say in between this text. See what happens. So as you notice, it'll automatically adjust the image and text. I'd like to also show you another thing you can do with these images. You can actually make these images into links. So what you can do is, let's grab this link here, copy it, paste it over here, and we will put this in between the, let's put it here. Or no, let's get rid of the text. Excuse me. We have an image tag in between the anchor tag. Let's see what happens. So we have our second fish. If we move our mouse towards this fish, look at that. You can click on it. So let's give that a try. And it directs us to YouTube. So now we can make our images into links as well. And that's it for this tutorial. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them down below in the comments. And if you can provide me any feedback, give me suggestions, that would be greatly appreciated. And I hope you'll find what you've learned here very useful. Thanks for watching. I hope to see you again next time.